All right. Welcome, everybody, to tonight's Perfecting the Pitch workshop. We appreciate you for being here. We've got folks from all over the place, and that's exciting. I'm excited to see you here this evening. My name is Caleb Talley. I'm the Director of Marketing and Events for the Startup Junkie Foundation. And for those of you who may not be familiar with the Startup Junkie Foundation, crazy. Sorry, I was getting a phone call and the audio went crazy on my end. High impact, mission driven organization based in Northwest Arkansas that exists to serve entrepreneurs, innovators, and small business owners. We do that through consulting, workshops, events, all at absolutely no cost to those who we provide those services to. We are excited to have this presentation here for you tonight, and I'm excited to introduce you to Shannon Gold. She has been helping clients prepare for high impact communications for more than 15 years. She's worked with executives across a number of big industries. As a coach and workshop leader, she's facilitated collaboration and innovation, resolved conflicts, broken through barriers to communication, and activated unrealized creative potential. And sorry, it's getting a lot of pings there too. It's just, excuse me, distracting me. So without further ado, Shauna, I will turn it over to you.
Okay, great. Thanks, Caleb. So Kathy, welcome. Is it possible for you to turn on your camera?
Turn on my what?
Your camera so we can see you?
Oh, I don't do face recognition stuff. No, I only use my name. Yeah.
Okay. That it'll just be a little more challenging for me to coach the people I can't see, but that's okay. Well, welcome everybody, and thank you again, Caleb, for hosting. As Caleb mentioned, I have been coaching entrepreneurs for a long time, and one of my main goals is to help entrepreneurs understand the importance of presence, storytelling, and connecting. And a lot of times people come in either so focused on the research that they forget about focusing on storytelling, or they come in so over-rehearsed that they forget about connecting with the listener. And a lot of times people have their nerves kick in and they forget to just be relaxed and present and then be a human being. So that's the main thing I do. And I also do help folks with content quite a bit, but based on what I've already heard, luckily it seems like you guys are in pretty good shape about just being able to explain what your company does, which is of course the key. So those other qualities are what I'm going to focus on today. Okay. And I'm just going to point out, is anybody going to be doing any online pitching like this? Would you raise your hand if you think you will? Okay, great. So I would like to say that one of the main reasons I am talking to you a little bit before I go into my presentation and my PowerPoint is to demonstrate the importance of connecting first. So I really recommend that rather than having your deck up at the top of your pitch, that you first introduce yourself and connect with the listeners as a human being and just say, this is who I am. And you're going to hear the research in a minute about why that's so important. But you just being a tiny person, thumbnail in the corner while you're doing your deck isn't as ideal way to connect. Unfortunately, it's all we have right now. But if you can spend a few minutes at the top of your pitch and a few minutes at the end, letting go of the deck and just being present and being conversational, that will have a huge impact on your success. Okay, so on to sharing my screen. There it is. Everybody see that?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay. So the powerful pitch, telling your story authentically. So the focus of my work is helping people really access your authentic passion and enthusiasm for your subject, so that instead of wanting to just read to people, or instead of just coming at people with a whole bunch of information, you really access how excited you are about what you're doing, okay? And the reason why we want to do that is because there's all of this great data about how much more successful people are when they do that, if that makes sense. So I'll tell you a little bit about the research. So you might have heard of Amy Cuddy. She has one of the most popular TED Talks on TED. And for a little while, there was some controversy around her research, but that has been put to bed, that has been put to rest, and they've found that it is replicable. And she's a Harvard Business School researcher who investigates the way entrepreneurs make pitches to potential investors and the way investors respond. After analyzing videos of 185 venture capital presentations, looking at both verbal and nonverbal behaviors, the results show that the strongest predictor of who received funding is not the person's credentials or even the content of the pitch alone. The strongest predictor were the confidence, comfort level, and passionate engagement the investors perceived. So we're looking for confidence, comfort level, passionate engagement. So I call this presence. Those who succeeded didn't spend their time in front of investors worrying about what others thought of them. Those who succeeded were fully present, and their presence was palpable. It came through in nonverbal ways. While content is obviously important, these individuals were signaling something even more powerful about the entrepreneur's investment worthiness. They were signaling how much that person truly believed in the value and integrity of their idea and their ability to bring it to fruition, which in turn signals something to the investor about the quality of the proposition itself. So all this is to say that they are finding that when someone brings that passionate engagement, that gives the investor a sense that they are trustworthy and they are worthy of investment. In follow-up studies, this quality of presence is a useful indicator of success. This quality predicts drive, tenacity, initiative, enhanced mental activity, and creativity. So just to be clear, it's not just an illusion. Sometimes people talk about how confidence is more important than competence, but that's not true. It's just as important in terms of getting what you need. So if you can demonstrate these confident, passionate engagement, conversational connection, and a sense of true care about what you're doing, that is actually correlates with drive, tenacity, initiative, enhanced mental activity, and creativity. So those two go together. Now, however, on the other side, not being able to demonstrate those things don't mean you don't have those qualities. It just means you're going to be less likely to get the chance to prove yourself because you're less likely to get the investment. So these qualities of presence, confidence, passion, and engagement, they can't be faked. You never want to be fake or superficial. However, they can be cultivated, and that's what we're going to focus on today. So when we feel present, our emotions, thoughts, speech content, facial expressions, postures, tone of voice, and movements align, meaning they all make sense together. Presence manifests as grounded, embodied confidence without arrogance or cockiness. So sometimes people mistake trying to project confidence as being invulnerable or overly cocky. And we don't want that. We want a certain humbleness to your demeanor, an open-heartedness, willingness to listen, but just a sense of pure confidence in your idea and your ability to do it. That's where the confidence comes in, not that you are some kind of superhero. By connecting with and communicating your enthusiasm for and passionate engagement with your story, your subject, and your company's story, you can access your presence. This is an internal approach. There's no need to be slick or perfect. Internalized and expressed passion, engagement, mastery of content with a conversational delivery is universally preferred by investors to slicked, canned, overly memorized presentation models. An external approach to accessing your presence is by embodying confidence, grounding your presence through power posing and confident body language. This kind of presence can be cultivated even by the deepest introverts. So raise your hand if you already know about power posing.
If you know about power posing?
Yeah, have you heard of this before?
Mm-mm.
No, okay. So I'm going to share with you a little study and then we're going to try practicing.
Okay.
Okay, so here's a description of a study on the impact of power posing on hiring practices. At Harvard, they brought people into a lab and had half the group do high power poses and half do low power poses. So high power poses are being broad, taking up space, grounding yourself. Some people think of it as the Wonder Woman pose. Sometimes it's just taking up space. A low power pose is being hunched over, arms crossed, taking up very little space. Okay, so that was how they started. Half the group did the confident, grounded, embodied, confident poses and for 2 minutes, and half did the sort of curled in on yourself poses. So they go through the rigmarole of a very stressful job interview, about 5 minutes long, and they're being recorded. They're being judged, and the judges are trained to give no nonverbal feedback. So they look like this, just dead-faced. And that's one of the scariest things to go through. And I'm sure you've all experienced it. And they call it standing in social quicksand to get zero response from people. So they were already in a very stressful situation, right?
Yeah.
And this experience really spikes your cortisol, which is your stress hormone. So in this job interview that they put them through, they wanted to see what happened, and given how stressful it was. And they had coders look at the tapes. They're blind to the hypothesis. They're blind to the conditions. They have no idea who's been posing in what pose. They end up looking at all the tapes and they decide who they would like to hire for a theoretical job opening. Universally, they chose the high power posers without knowing that they had done that. So they evaluated them positively overall. They said they didn't want to hire those people, the low power poses. And it wasn't about the content of their speech, it was about the presence that they were bringing to what they said. Because they were rating them on all the variables related to competence, how well structured what they said, how detailed the content, their qualifications, those variables had minimal impact. The highest impact variable were those who did the 2 minutes of power posing before, which allowed them to bring their true, confident, embodied selves. They bring their ideas, but as their true, authentic selves, without the extra tension or nervousness that blocks authentic presence and enthusiasm. So what do many of us do while we're waiting to go in for a job interview or a pitch, or even while we're just prepping for something online? We look at our notes, we look at our phone, we look at our devices, right? We kind of get small, or we might take up less space if we're in a lobby. So instead, we want to encourage everyone to practice while they're sitting there in the lobby or in front of their computer, getting big. So everybody right now, I want you to open up and I want you to choose between 3 options. One is hands behind your head, like this, hands on your hips, or hands at your side, but standing strong. So if you're sitting, you can stand up.
Or stand it. You can, if you're sitting, you can stand up.
If you're sitting,
and which
you can stand
pose
up.
is more comfortable for us?
Yeah, you pick what you like, but just practice taking up space. Okay.
Taking up space. Okay.
Taking up space, and as women, we are not trained to do this. So it's a little bit more challenging for us because we're told to cross our legs and cross our arms, right? And be ladylike. But actually, we want to work on taking up space. All right, so Catherine, try putting your hands on your hips like Wonder Woman.
I live here. I live in this position. So
good. All right, you already know. So literally,
I'm trying to move away from it.
If you can find this position and not with your hands in your pockets, but with your hands by your hips, and or behind your head, or just standing strong. These are the strong power poses. If you can find 2 minutes to do this, either you go into the bathroom or you find a way to do it in the lobby while you're waiting, or if you're at home, it's not too hard. There's all of this legions of evidence that shows that this has a positive impact on your higher ability / investability, investment worthiness. Okay, you can relax, Catherine.
I have to say, it is so different. You're right. You're just not accustomed to put yourself that forward, right?
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right. We're not used to it. And they did a lot of research that not only did it invest their impact on their listener, but it impacted their own personal feelings of confidence. Their cortisol went down and their testosterone went up. And those are usually, the cortisol is what makes you tense and the testosterone is what makes you confident. So there's all this evidence that this external approach can really help. So now we're going to talk a little bit about the internal aspects. So, and here's the study for anyone who likes to have data. So the Journal of Applied Psychology is where this study was done, in case you think it's
sorry. Caleb, will we have a copy of this like you normally do?
Yeah, I'll shoot you a copy of this video. If Shannon wants to make the slides available later, I can send those too, but I'll definitely send this video to you.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so here we go. Now we are on to our internal cultivation of our authentic self. So if you'd like, you can either type into the chat or just jot down your response to these, and don't take too long, just write a few words. What 3 words best describe you as an individual? What's unique about you that leads to your most engaged or in flow experiences and best performance? You can think about what people have said after they've seen or met you. What do they say about you? Reflect on a time at work or at home when you were engaged in a way that you felt natural, at ease, and yourself. Because you really want to connect with what it feels like to feel like yourself. What are your signature strengths and how can you use them? And if you don't have access to this, if you're not super quick on your feet, as Caleb mentioned, you can watch the recording and take some time to do these. Now we have some questions to help you access your passion for your pitch itself, for the content. What inspired you to start this company? What problem were you passionate about solving? Why is it important to you personally? What stories can you share that exemplify your connection to the issue? Why should the world care? So one of the strong pitches that I saw recently was a gentleman who had created a helmet for preventing concussions in youth football. And it was because his brother had a number of concussions and was having ongoing health issues as a result to this day. So he felt really moved and passionate about making sure that didn't happen to anybody else. You may not have a personal story that emotionally engaged, but anything you can do to talk about the moment you thought this problem needs to be solved would be great. Why should the world care? Why is it important that you solve this problem? So just as key as what you say and how you say it is how engaged you are with your listener. If you have very technical information that's over the head of your listener, the result could be confusion and alienation. Understanding the context of who you are and when you are sharing your information is crucial to your success. So who are your listeners? If they're a bunch of scientists and you're talking about science, that's one thing. But if they're not, then you have to be really aware that you don't want to get too specific with the information you're sharing and just get right to results. Share your story and tell us what will happen when you solve this problem. Some questions to think about how to engage your audience. How do you want your listener to feel? I'll give an example of a client. When I asked him that question, he said, I want them to be scared that they're missing out on an important opportunity. And I said, oh, okay, well, do you think a scared audience is going to be wanting to take big risks and spend money? And he said, probably not. I said, so what else could it be? What if it was, you want them to feel inspired to get on board? So think about what you want your audience to feel. And you can imagine if what you were trying to do was scare your audience, how that might skew your content and your attitude. But if you want them to feel inspired, how that would affect your content and your attitude. How will you connect your story with what resonates with your listener? So this is where you do your research about who you're talking to. You think about who they are and what they're going to respond to the best. You won't always be able to figure that out, but as much as you can, if you have an individual who you're talking to, know everything about them. What do you want them to take away? And what do you want them to do? What do you want them to take away? So, what's the main thought, the main idea that they should walk away thinking about? And what do you want them to do? What exactly is your ask? Any questions on that?
Yes.
Yes.
Sorry, Shanna.
Sure.
So as you're going through this, your deck should support this. Should support this, the takeaway, the aha moment, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Or is that something that more, because sometimes the deck can just be highlights of the meeting that you can do after you're done with your meeting, you send them the deck, and this kind of reminds them of what the conversation was. But a lot of times what comes out from the gut and how you're presenting comes out and it's not on the deck, which is bullet point, like 10 pages, 8 pages, whatever it should be. So do you want them that takeaway to be on the deck as well, or should that just be at the presentation level?
I think both. But this is why I emphasize having this moment of engagement before your deck and after your deck, because you really want that feeling of connection, that feeling of trust, that feeling of this is a trustworthy, investment-worthy individual. Is going to happen outside of your deck. But of course, anything that they take home with them and look at, you want them to make sure that it reiterates everything that's super important to you. And it's tricky because I do want to make sure that people understand that there's lots of white space. You look at I'm not the best PowerPoint creator, I'm going to be honest, but what I always advise my clients is make sure there's lots of white space. So don't feel like you need to cram everything into your deck. Or if you feel like there's important information, just make sure you do lots of slides and not try to cram it onto one, because no one's going to look at it.
That's a good way to approach it. You're right.
Yeah.
So you break it down by chunks that they can digest and process instead of having it all in a 23-page slide.
That's right. That's right.
Gotcha.
You might even just have one word on one of your slides, and then the next slide could be the word again and the explanation. You know what I mean? So that as much as possible, you're getting really strong images, and then you're getting, the supporting info, rather than trying to stick it all on one slide, which I have only done mildly successfully because I'm kind of a Luddite. But when it's high stakes like you guys, it is worth it. If you're not as adept at creating decks, it's worth hiring somebody. Just make sure that it feels really bright, really clear. You want nice contrast between your text and your background. lots of white space and not too much information at once. You want to make sure that as I did here, that you can add information and you control that rather than having all the information come up at once. That's really, really important because you want to be leading them with you. You don't want them to be forgetting about you and just reading slides. Does that answer your question, Catherine?
Yes, thank you.
Sure. Okay. So the next thing you have to do once you have figured out how you connect your story with what resonates with your audience is practice. And I do what I call verbal drafting. I don't know if I have a deck for this. Okay, so I call it verbal drafting. And verbal drafting isn't just practicing. It is actually replicating the circumstances of your pitch. Okay, so Tom, do you mind sharing what your, if you have an upcoming pitch, what will be the circumstances?
Yeah, so typically we have a set target of customers that we pursue. So we're a small and mighty team. So, you know, we typically will work with larger customers. So like in Northwest Arkansas, our three target customers are Walmart, Tyson, and University of Arkansas.
Got it.
So, so can I practice in just giving you some feedback on what you just took us through?
Well, I'm going to give you a chance to do that, but before we do, I just want to hear when you meet with Walmart to pitch them. Are you in the room? Are you online?
Sometimes. More lately, it's been online, but you know, ideally, we really like the face-to-face presentation.
I think we all do.
Yeah.
So if it's going to be an online, then practice online. Go ahead and pull up your Zoom and get one of your colleagues to be on the other side, and or ask a family member if they're willing, and run the pitch under as close to a replicated circumstance as you're going to have as possible, and let the person you're practicing with ask you questions that you're not prepared for, so that you can really have that experience. And I recommend a minimum of 20 repetitions under exact circumstances that you will be doing. So if you're going to do it in person, then you get a friend, colleague, etc., to sit and listen to you in person under as close to the circumstances you're going to be. Of course, you'll never have the same nerves with a friend or colleague as you would with the people you're pitching to, but you'll have the physical experience. So it'll be in your body and you'll be much more ready to go. A lot of people practice by reading through their notes, and that is not verbal drafting, and it's not nearly as impactful. So I am going to make sure you get a chance to coach. I'm just going to finish this up.
Okay.
So you'll practice first on your colleagues, ask them for feedback. You want to practice out loud daily, every day, before now in your next pitch. Okay. And you're going to want to, if you're a really high stakes pitch, 100 times, I recommend. So I have done coaching for a group called the Center for Innovation, and they come here and they pitch to Walmart, and it's their one chance in front of the Walton family to pitch their idea. This is it. It's a contest and it's one time. So, you know, there are several of them who, when they pitched for me for their coaching, they had not ever pitched out loud before. And so I had to give them a talking to and say, you know, just reading through your information isn't going to do it. You've got to be so comfortable. It has to be completely internalized, so that you're not reading and you're also not memorized. Is that clear, the difference between internalized and memorized? Yeah. So the idea is, you've said it so many times that it's in your body, but you're not reading a canned speech as though it were on a teleprompter. You are saying it conversationally. You're sharing your content in a conversational, enthusiastic way in your own words. And you want to make sure that you're not reading the whole thing. And you also want to make sure that you're not so meandering and off topic that you can't get all your information in. Those are the two extremes that I see. So the more you practice, the more you're going to be really accurate in your time limit, and you're also going to feel engaged and engaging. Any questions on that before I keep going?
No.
So I'm going to give you a suggestion of something to do for us to practice, a bite-sized piece. But Tom, since you requested it, if you would rather just give me your actual pitch, I'm cool with that. I created this not knowing how many people we were going to have or how much time we would have. So I think we have plenty of time if people want to give the pitch that they have ready. But I am going to share with you what I believe every single person should have ready. And so you can do this now, or you can share with me your pitch if you think it already has this. So your pitch opener or intro, your hook, should articulate what problem you're solving, why it matters, why you and your company are the right ones to solve it, and what the world will look like when you do. So it should sound like this. We/I have developed a defined offering. So I might say, my company, Concussion Helmets, Inc., have developed a concussion helmet that helps youth soccer players know that they are have excessive force hit because the helmet will light up and it will automatically be pulled from the game and be put into a responsive isolation until they are actually healthy enough to rejoin the game. And that will solve the 80% of young people who leave tackle football with ongoing health injuries. I just made that up. And this is important to me because my brother has these ongoing health issues, and I want to make sure that no one ever again has ongoing health issues because they wanted to play football as a kid. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're going to write down your version of the above, or if you just want to do your pitch and you think your pitch has this already built into it, that's fine. Do you guys want to take a minute to write this down, or do you want to just give your pitches as is?
I think I'm going to take a minute to write that one down.
Okay, good. Caleb, do you mind timing us for a minute and a half? Anthony and Kathy, are you hoping to pitch today, or are you just listening?
I'm just listening because my idea is a really alternative idea in the business world. Yeah.
No problem. Anthony?
I'm working on to pitch it. I haven't even like started a pitch or anything.
No problem. Do you want to try and pitch this opener that I just described?
Maybe if I'm ready for it, of course.
Okay.
I'm still writing everything down for my notes, and then I'm gonna write my stuff down.
Okay. We're gonna put you in an opportunity to practice briefly.
Okay. Thank you.
So Caleb, it seems like for our breakout groups, it might just make sense to put the people who want to practice into one room together. Or you know what, maybe we could put Tom and Catherine together and Anthony, Caleb. Caleb, would you mind being in a pair with Anthony?
Sure, happy to.
Okay, great.
And a minute and a half is up.
Okay. All right. So we're going to put you in a breakout room, and we're going to give about, you're going to choose who's going to go first. You're going to set a timer for 2 minutes. Repeat your intro at least 5 times. By your last go, you should stop reading and say it from memory. Okay. You're going to strive for comfortable, conversational, and repeatable. Your listeners, your partner will look for confidence, comfort level, and passionate engagement. And you can give some constructive feedback, nothing harsh. Just let them know where it seemed like they were confident and comfortable and passionate, and where it seemed like maybe nerves took over or it seemed like they were reading. Okay, are there any questions on that? Everybody feel clear?
Good. And I've got our rooms pre-assigned. However, it's not showing me as an option to throw in there with Anthony. My name doesn't appear.
I know how to do it. I think I can talk you through it. If you want to go ahead
Okay.
and put Tom and Catherine in their room, I can talk you how to get into Anthony's.
Awesome. And I've got Michael and Nasser in one as well.
Oh, okay, great.
All right, clicking the button. Okay, I see where it gives me the option to join that
That's
room.
right. That's right.
Okay, cool. All right. I guess it's all right. Everybody should be in the process of being prompted to a room, except for you and Kathy. So, Catherine, you should see an option, a prompt to your breakout room.
Okay. Then what? How do I do to unbreak to come back? To just it unbreaks?
I'll bring you back.
He'll give you a prompt, yeah. And you'll say rejoin the meeting.
I don't see any prompt unless I'm just going to leave the whole room.
We had understood that you didn't want to share yours. Is that true?
Oh, I thought you were going to put me and Andrew in the same room or something like that.
Oh, would you like that? Because we can, absolutely.
Yeah,
Sure,
and then I'll just listen a little bit for what they're doing. Yeah.
Okay, great. Caleb, you can be in the room with those guys.
Absolutely. All right, and then I will
and
join.
Let's set a timer before you go, Caleb.
Uh-huh.
Let's set our timer for, we're going to do 2 minutes with 1 minute. So we'll say 6 minutes. We'll come back.
Okay. All right. Let me make sure it repeats. Let me just jot this down so I know for him. All right. See you in a second.
Okay, thanks, Caleb.
Okay.
Anthony, how's it going?
I'm going. It's going.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right. So I've got our timer set for 6 minutes just for the overall breakout room session. But just based off of her kind of outline of what a pitch should the flow of a pitch, if you want to go ahead, I will be happy to listen.
I haven't finished it, but this is how I started.
Okay.
All right. So here at Jaspertronics, we have developed a solution to stop the spread of COVID. The world will be in peace once this technology is known and utilized. This technology name is called FAR UVC 222. Then that's where I stopped.
Awesome. As far as, so that's great. That's fantastic for like your first run at that. So going off of what is the product or the concept of the product? What does it do exactly?
Basically, it's a germicidal light that sanitizes and kills pathogens from developing. Mm-hmm. And it kills viruses, it kills bacteria such as viruses, COVID, the flu, the common cold.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And so if we were to frame that based off of kind of her outline, would probably start with what the problem is. So the problem would be, the world is experiencing, untold misfortune as a result of the spread of virus and germs. As a result, our way of life has been altered, and many people want to protect themselves and their families from germs. So that's the problem and what people are looking for.
Can you repeat that
Yeah.
one more time? I'm sorry, I didn't
Yeah,
catch
yeah,
that. Okay.
absolutely. So you would start with the problem overall. So the problem is, in your instance, for your concept, is that you so the world is experiencing a unfortunate spread of virus, causing a disruption in day-to-day life. Viruses and germs and illnesses are wreaking havoc on our communities. And people are longing for a way to get back to normal and to protect themselves and their family from germs and viruses. So to address this problem, your company, Jasper, you say Jasper Tech, has developed XYZ product, and this product does this. And because it does this, it can help you to advance towards, a germ-free life or something like that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. You kind of talked a little bit fast for me to write everything down, but
Sorry.
I know it's okay.
You want to try it
No,
again?
Oh man.
You got it.
Okay, give me.
Feel free to collect your thoughts if you'd like to, for sure.
Okay. All right. So, okay. So the world is okay. So the world is experience. I can't even say your wording. I gotta say my own.
Yeah, say your own. That's the perfect. I was just trying to give you an example.
Okay. Let me see.
Say it how you'd say it for sure.
Okay. Hold on. Let me see. Okay. So we now live in a world where the society is misfortune. Is that word? No.
You could say however you'd like.
I'm already blanked.
You could say,
I'm bad at this.
So think about why people need this. So, we're experiencing the spread of COVID-19 and other germs that are causing harm to individuals and families.
Okay.
Do something like that. Think about what's the problem? The product addresses a problem. What's that problem?
Okay. So the spread of COVID is the problem. The spread of germs.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Okay. So I'm really bad at this.
No, you're fine.
Especially my first time doing something like this.
Well, you're doing good for your first time for sure.
Give me 1 minute. I'm sorry.
Yep, you're good.
Okay. So I can start off with, we live in a world that experiencing hold on. I'm bad at this. Hold on. 1 second.
And one thing I'd keep in mind too, in regards to what Shannon was talking about, rather than memorizing, just kind of internalizing. So you don't necessarily, don't think that you need to have a script, I guess, that just, kind of understand what it is that you are trying to address, and then don't necessarily try to remember exact words. Just say what comes to your mind in regards to what the problem is. So that there's a problem with the spread of germs and disease causing COVID. So you don't have to say specific words. You can just kind of like just kind of relax and just ease into it. You know what I mean? It doesn't necessarily have to be firm like that. So just food for thought. We're at our 6-minute mark, so I'm going to close these rooms and bring everybody back. But good job. That was good first try for sure.
Help provide all those tools. The recording in progress, so I better make my end good.
Keep going, Michael. What's your vision for the future with your offering?
Yeah, our vision is that families say that everybody reports their family is the most important thing to them in the world, and yet so many feel disconnected from their family life. And so we're on a mission to make sure that every family can report that it's not only the most important, but also the most productive organization and relationships that they have in their life.
Beautifully said.
Yeah.
Lovely. Well, since I'm here and we're still waiting on the others. Caleb, are we still waiting on the others? Oops, you're muted.
Muted,
there.
yeah. Yeah, they should. It probably prompted them to. Usually, it says 60 seconds, but they must have been trying to finish what they were doing.
Oh, there they go. There they go. Did everybody get a chance to pitch and give a little feedback? Okay, great, wonderful. So I would like everyone to. I'm gonna unshare. No. Stop sharing. Great. So Michael had just done a wonderful job sharing with me because he came back a little earlier. And I'm going to give a little bit of feedback. And I'd like you to try again, Michael, if you'd like.
Okay.
So, I thought you were so relaxed and at ease and conversational. You've obviously embodied and internalized your message. I would love to see if you can get us a little bit more excited about it. It feels like a little sleepy. Do you know what I mean by that? And I think it'll help if you give us a sense of why this is urgent. Why do you think it's urgent that we do this?
And towards the beginning or in the end?
Well, what's the problem you're solving?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Well,
Well,
I want to hear sooner. Yeah.
yeah. Well, so my wife and I recently moved down to this area to start Family Works. It's an app that helps families to be more purposeful and connect around shared values, vision, and around goals. There's a really great quote by Bruce Feiler who says, for all the lip service that we pay to our families, we actually don't spend a whole lot of time trying to work on our families. And so this app is really there to help us be more purposeful as a family with personalized content. And specifically, we work with organizations that already have families as clients, so nonprofits or parents of schools, counseling organizations, or even just corporate teams and businesses as an employee perk. And we're really on a mission to make sure that family is strong, as it's the foundation of any society, and to make sure that families really believe and embody what they want, which is to be really strong.
Great. And what will the world look like if you don't do what you're talking about?
Well, I think we see things like divorce rates and broken homes and a lot of discord. If the pandemic has taught us anything, it's that we kind of expect people to not get through things together. And this really allows us to say, yeah, we can be strong families. We can be purposeful. We can be strong individuals, and yet work towards shared goals.
What will the world look like if you achieved everything, if everyone joined you in this endeavor?
Yeah, we really believe families are just a very specific type of organization, and organizational health at the family level means that we have thriving communities, really productive businesses, and most of all, we've got a really unique organization that's raising up the next generation of people to make the world better.
Great. You handled my notes so beautifully. I was so impressed, and I hope that you will watch this recording so you can see where you identified the problem. I would put that in there sooner,
Okay.
Because you want us to know what the problem you're solving is, not just what you do, but
Sure.
why it matters. That is so important. Otherwise, it just seems like a nice idea. But if there's a big problem that you're solving, the divorce rate, the splinter, the whatever, you could say something like, only this many families say they eat dinner together, whatever. You're giving us something that we can be concerned about, that you're going to solve. And then in your last line, you say, when everyone has joined, and you say your company name again at the end, right? You'll say, we will have harmonious, solid fabrics of family who hopefully eat dinner together every night or something like that. Do you know what I mean? I'm just making stuff up. But something that connects the problem and the solution.
Yeah. Great. Thank you.
Well done. Okay. Your partner was Nasser. Nasser, would you go next? It looks like we're going to run a little over since we started late. Is there anyone who has to go right at 6:30? Okay. Nasser, would you like to go next?
Yeah. As I told you, I am working in the school with the students. I have no any trade. So I came here to know about what is going. And, we stopped before around 2 years. The students were at home. Now we are going back to the school at around the 19th. The students will be back to the school. And I hope to work with them. What I will gain from you here, how to divide them and how to inform them what is going on around the world, and to take action about what is going on, and to aware them, and to deal with them about the future also of the business, about like the small businesses like that. Yeah. Any question more, I can reply you.
Okay, great. So do you mind just telling me exactly what you do? Who do you work with?
I'm working with the students, the social work, to solve the problems. And
are you talking about college students, high school students, elementary school students?
No, it is high school students before the college. Before the college,
okay.
Yeah.
And why is it important to you?
I like to work with the students and to talk with them about the future and how is the life going, and they have to do hard work in the school for the better future, like that. Yeah.
You want to help them create a better future. Is that right? Okay,
Yeah.
good. So you're not giving an actual pitch, it sounds like, but being able to articulate what is important to you, what the problem is that you're working on, and then what you want to do, how you want to solve the problem, what you think will be like, is a wonderful way to express care in any time and any job you do when you're explaining what you do to somebody. And it also helps you be more passionate and engaged with the work itself. So these are all good things to focus on. Okay, thanks, Nasa.
Thank you very much for joining.
Catherine.
Yeah.
All right, how much time do we have? Just because I am going to be a little bit pressed for time. How much time would this extend to?
I think I could get it done in 15 minutes if that works. But if you need to go, then feel free to hop off. No problem.
So I'm going to do a very small. I would just like to hear others as well.
I know.
Well, I am connecting again with Paul for sure. That we determined, right? Tom, I'm sorry, Tom. Yes. Briefly, my name is Catherine. So is this where we practice our standing or sitting? Is this where we do this?
It's entirely up to you. You can just work on the content and having the passionate engagement, or you can replicate it as much as you want. It's up to you.
So I'm going to practice now, because every time practice makes perfect and perfect practice makes perfect, right? Okay. Hello, my name is Catherine Lopez, and I have been working in the industry for over 25 years. I am a fashion designer by trade. And I've had the opportunity throughout my profession to work both in the US, working for specialty retailers, as well as working in Asia, working directly with factories in Bangladesh. I lived in Bangladesh, lived in China, lived in Korea. And throughout my journey as a designer, I've had the chance to work with factories out of Central America, South America, in the US, and different parts of the world. What we have seen throughout the whole course of the fashion journey is the problem of sustainability. As we know, one of the biggest issues that we have is water, energy, and overall the industry itself. They say that by 2025, the global population will grow up to 8.1 billion. And as it grows, so will the need for energy, for water, for food, as well as fashion. Well, the denim industry is one of the biggest industry with environmental footprint. And at this present time, water will become a commodity. It will become oil of the future. Ananta is currently owns 7 factories in Bangladesh and is currently working with leading companies around the world, such as Levi's, Wrangler Jean, Zara, H&M, Inditex, and big brands around the world to see how do they solve this environmental issue. They've currently developed innovation technology that doesn't work the aftermath. They're trying to get before the impact happens, and they're doing it with pre-consumer waste fabrications. We are very excited to present to you today a way to do end-to-end sustainability with a solution on not only how to capture the last part of the wave, but actually become the wave, become the change for the future. And that's what we would like to present to you today. And this goes on to more technical stuff.
Fantastic. I love your passionate engagement. That is so apparent. So brava, brava. I would encourage you to try doing that, what I said about this defined offering to help a specific audience achieve solve a problem and in your special way in order to create a vision for the future in 1 or 2 sentences. Because right now you have a great pitch. I'm super excited about it, but your upfront material actually diffuses the excellence of what comes later. And the way we open and the way we end are what people remember. The stuff in between, we'll often forget.
Okay.
So I would recommend that you open either with stating the problem that you're solving, just really in really strong terms. You can introduce yourself, but you don't have to go into a lot of detail about all the places you've been and all that stuff. You can do your credibility later. You can go into detail, but right up front, you just say your name and the define offering. So we are solving this problem of sustainability. What will happen if you don't solve it, Catherine? Tell me.
Water will become oil, and water is not enough in the industry. So we come up with a solution.
Don't go any further. Don't go any further. If you can either put a statistic or just that statement at the top. If we keep going at the rate we're going, soon water will become oil. My company, blank, make sure you say the name of your company, aims to create sustainability that will make sure that these industries can go on into a bright future, something better than that. But do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Make it really vivid what the problem is you're solving right up front and just grab our attention. Because if you go into a lot of detail about Bangladesh and I've been to these places, that places, you've lost me. But then you did pull me back in, but I would love for you to hook us right at the top. And then you might not even need to say all that stuff about where you've been unless you have a specific story about Bangladesh. You don't need to mention it. You can just say, I've been all over the world and I've seen these problems. And this is where we're headed. And this is how we aim to stop it. And this is the vision for our future that we want to see. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you can get as succinct as that right at the top, then everything else you had after was fantastic.
Okay. Thank you.
Great. And I would love a stronger ending from you as well. Your middle was your strongest, but really what you want is your beginning and ending to be your strongest. What comes in the middle is color and storytelling, and just great. And it should stay engaged and passionate. But what you say at the top, when you say at the end, is what we'll remember.
Okay.
So I always call it stick your landing. You should have that ending that just makes us want to hand you money immediately. The last sentence you say should end so strong that the first thing I do is reach for my wallet. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Well done. Okay, Tom, you ready?
I'm ready. All right, let's go. I'm Tom Rohr, and I'm with Food Loops. And Food Loops helps large companies tackle their sustainability goals. Now, today, almost all companies have sustainability goals. Unfortunately, a lot of those goals are for 2025 or 2030. Customers for food lubes usually start out diverting maybe 0 to 25% of their waste from the landfill. Within a short period of time, an engaged customer with food lubes will quickly get to 75 to 90% diverted from the landfill.
Wow, that's great. I love that you're both in sustainability. No wonder you're going to stay in touch.
Yeah. Well, we're in different categories too.
In different areas, yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
great. But you can use each other as a resource, and you can practice together.
Exactly.
So strong. I would love for you to say what makes you special. I didn't hear, like, what about what you're delivering is special? I do hear what your result is, which is great.
Yeah. Well, and really what we try to infer is that we're an action company versus a talk about it company. Sustainability, there's a lot of talk, not a lot of action. And
Put that in there.
We're an action company.
Oh my gosh, you just made your own slogan on the spot. That was great. So a lot of these sustainability, because you said something about like it's for the future, but I didn't hear you say what makes you a now company. So if you can demonstrate that in one sentence, that would be ideal.
Yeah.
But everything else was super strong. I'm going to keep working on getting excited. And that's not natural to everybody, but think about if there is a time or a place where you ever have had that kind of excitement. Do you have kids?
Yes.
Yes. It might be like thinking about how you talk to your kids when you're getting excited about something. Obviously you wouldn't want to do it exactly like that, but just notice what it feels like when you actually get excited about something and you share excitement with somebody, and see if you can bring that to the pitch so that you can get us excited, because it is exciting. When you say that you can divert that much from the landfill. And then that last line of to have a world where, what would you say there?
Well, in a world where we just reuse our resources over and over and over again.
Where we reuse our resources instead of, then you could say something about what would happen if you didn't do that, or you could say where we make the most of what we have and have a sustainable future. I just want somewhere in there a vision for what's ahead.
Okay.
When you stick your landing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well done. Anthony, would you like to go?
Yeah, I actually wrote something similar to what we're working on. I was struggling at first, but I think I got this now.
Wonderful.
All right, hold on. All right, here we go. Jaspertronic has led the way in projection and stage lighting for years. Now we are bringing you safety at its finest measure. We are now at the beginning stages of a new global pandemic of the century. This global catastrophe is changing the future of humankind on a universal scale, endangering modern civilization. Virologists are battling one of the biggest challenges against microorganisms that are deadly dangerous to the human body cells and lead to human extinction. This global pandemic virus completely changed our lifestyle on how we live in this modern world. This virus is known as the COVID-19. Here in Jaspertronics, we understand our community needs a solution to help battle this global pandemic virus we are facing. Our research and development team has invented the latest technology to help reduce pathogens from spreading through skin contact, bodily fluids, airborne particles, contact with feces, and touching a surface touched by an infected person. The UV Clean 222MN technology is a sanitizing light source compatible of killing an immense array of viruses and bacteria. The UV Clean 222MN technology product are utilized in unoccupied and occupied spaces without presenting a health risk to humans when used with the current exposure limits recommended by the American Conference of Governmental.
Anthony, I'm going to stop you. Your material is incredible, but it does not sound like how you would say it in a conversation. And in fact, some of the words feel like they're maybe challenging to get out. So my big note for you is to work on putting everything in your own words. how you talk. So make it completely conversational. I loved the gist of it. Like you made it really clear what the problem you were solving was and how you're going to solve it and why your company is special. That fantastic. Just make sure that it sounds like Anthony, because remember, we're working on authentic confidence, our natural enthusiasm. So if it sounds like anybody else wrote it, or if it just sounds like a very technical speak and not like a conversation, you're going to lose your listener, and they're not going to get that sense of the passionate engagement of the individual. Because I want to see you in the way you talk. So we don't have time right now, but if I were working with you one-on-one, I would say all of that in your own words and see what happens. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I actually wrote it on I wrote this out like a long time ago, but I haven't touched base with it for a while.
Yeah, I mean, your writing is beautiful, but it's not how people talk.
That's
how
true.
People write. Okay, so what we read in a brochure, and that would make a beautiful brochure copy, but it isn't how we talk. So just make sure everything you say is how you would say it, Anthony, and just say it conversationally. So just get really comfortable with all that text speak and maybe move the text speak into the middle section. So all we know is the kind of technology it is, very briefly, and what it does. And then if you want to say anything else, but I wouldn't necessarily go into MUSR blah, 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 unless you absolutely feel it's necessary, because most investors, that's not going to mean anything to them, right? What they want to know is what the problem you're solving is, and what the world's going to look like when you've solved it, and how it's going to make them money. And I think you've got all that. You just don't want to bury it in too much detail or technicality. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, great. So
Thank you.
Make it accessible and make it powerful and make it you. Just make sure it's you on are you pitching to investors or to sales?
No, this is the first time even trying to pitch this. I pitch it a different way. I'm actually communicate with my customers about the germicidal. This is something that trying to present it to the table type of deal. That's already, I worked on it like weeks ago to put on a blog, but then I decided it needs to be improved a little bit more. So I never put it live.
Well, your writing is excellent. So just making it more of who you are so that it feels like a conversation that you're having. Even if it's just you talking, it should feel like a conversation.
Right. Okay. I understand.
Great.
Thank you.
Well done, everybody. I'm so impressed. Okay, so let me see here. Gallery. So,
I have a question. I'm sorry.
No problem.
I'm trying to get my head around this, but, and maybe it's just me, but when we go through this opening of the pitch and we talk about it with passion and all that, that's great. But when it comes to the deck, and you have to, because for example, in our case, we have lots of stats, interesting, or certifications, or to show credibility that this is something that we're truly doing. Does, for example, that opening statement or ending, would the deck reflect that, or should just be more like to the point and not have a lot of that opening or closing?
I don't think you need your opening or closing on the deck. In fact, I encourage you to just be yourself and fill the whole screen if you're doing an online pitch, or have a blank screen if you're in person, so that it's just about you connecting with them. Okay. Now, having the deck for that technical information is great. And you can't necessarily get conversational with data. You have to just share the data. But you don't have to share all the data.
Right.
Just enough data so that they understand that you know what you're talking about. And that's it.
And that's it. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Because that's for later. You just want them to want to know more. And you're going to hand them a deck, and you're going to hand them, I'm guessing, your data in a hard copy if you're in person, or send it to them and they can read all that. But they're not going to be able to remember much in a pitch presentation anyway.
Right. Does
that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay, great. I have so much more that I planned that I did not get to, so I overplanned. But I just want to say that it's been a pleasure working with you all. And if we could just all go around and just say one takeaway from today. Mine is that we have some really talented and engaged and exciting entrepreneurial ideas out there and some really great entrepreneurs. So, Michael, would you go first?
I think really being able to tie in problem solution with your opening pitch and how important that is.
Great. Thank you. NASA. Who's first?
Thank you very much for joining here. And, I enjoy everything, this pitching, and I hope in the future to be with you again. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Nessa. Tom.
Okay.
Yes, it's very nice to meet you all, and thank you, Shanna, for the feedback. It's always great to have an opportunity to talk about your business with other people who are trying to do something like you are, starting a business or expanding an idea. So practice makes perfect, as somebody said.
Practice makes perfect. And in my case, verbal drafting makes perfect.
Yes.
And before we wrap up, I just want to make sure I say that I'm going to offer everyone who came today 50% off your first coaching with me if you'd like to sign up for a one-on-one. And Caleb, would you mind putting in the chat, my website is www.shannongoldcoaching.com. And you can contact me that way, or you can write to me at shannongoldcoaching.com.
And I will, I'll copy you in the email when I send everybody this YouTube link tomorrow.
Okay, good. And I can reply all. All right, Catherine, share a takeaway if you would.
I only have 4 words. We can do this. We got this.
We got this.
We got this. Shanna, we're reaching out to you. I'm the first one.
Wonderful. I can't wait. Your embodied confidence, you've got that. You actually do have it. It's really for you. It's just about getting really succinct in your structure, but you've got your embodied confidence and you've got your natural enthusiasm coming through in spades. Kathy, do you want to share anything before we go?
I am looking to start an international industrial hemp skills bank to usher in the planetary hemp transition. So it's a 10-year project and I'm just getting started.
Neat. How exciting. I love it. Well, if you take away anything else from today, it's about presence, embodied confidence, and connection with your listener. That is what I want everyone to work on. Work on your demeanor as much as you work on your content. And that comes from getting really, really comfortable with your content. Pick your landing.
I have a question.
Yes.
With the world of COVID, I mean, I used to be a presenter. I used to constantly present product in front of customers. And having to do it on screen has been a very different experience. I would like to tap into you, perhaps, off this, but it's really a different way of presenting. It's like when you have a product and I can show you a product and I can hand it and people touch the denim and they stretch the denim. But how do you convey confidence on a product that you can't touch? Like, how do I even get you to want to see my sample that is stuck in a big warehouse somewhere, lost somewhere, and hopefully will make it to a meeting? So I would love to hear feedback as to now with this new age of COVID, how are people doing it to show new product? Like
it is a challenge. I'm not going to lie. But I believe that if you bring the level of enthusiasm and passion and engagement that you just showed, that they're going to want to bring you in, and then they're more likely to have an in-person experience. So that will be the follow-up. It just depends. But of course, we have to find a way to make this work and come through the screen. And what you all did quite well, which many of my clients don't, is you connected with the camera, so it felt like eye contact. So I was going to do a little demo of what I see a lot of people doing, but you guys don't have this problem. But a lot of people look over here. or their computer's tilted in a weird way, or they're off center or something. But being centered and making eye contact with the camera, actually they've done some research to show that it brings up the same positive chemicals as regular eye contact. So actually feeling like you're connecting with them. And so I always recommend that people put a thumbnail of their listener as close to the camera as they can, so that they can feel like they're being seen. And if you come through that screen and really reach out that way, hopefully they'll want to bring you in. And we can do masks, we can do in person, it's possible, but they're just not going to do it until they know it's worth it to them.
Right.
That's my impression. Caleb, do you have anything to add to that?
I think you are spot on. And just to contribute to, some of the takeaways, one takeaway I would say is that kind of everybody opening up. Just for example, I'm going to call him out. I think he already hopped off, but Anthony didn't want to present when we jumped on. And then when we got in the breakout room, he actually did start and kind of come out of his shell a little bit. So just the willingness to jump in and to work on the pitch a little bit. I was excited to see that.
Yeah, and usually if I were doing this live, I would be sort of floating around and sort of side coaching while people were in their pairs, which I didn't get to do. But that is usually where people realize the value and benefit of these practice sessions. So set up practice sessions with folks, and just rather than just practicing by yourself, because there's just nothing that can replace the experience of talking to somebody, talking to a human being, and really trying to connect with them, and then let them ask you questions that you're not prepared for, so that you can learn to think on your feet for that Q&A portion. So please get in touch if you'd like to coach individually. I would love to work with you, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, thank you so much.
Very
Thank you,
much.
everybody, for joining us, participating. Shana, thank you so much for doing this. I hope we get to do the next one in person.
Me too.
Thank you a lot.
Thank you.
All right.
Good night,
Thanks,
everybody.
Everyone.
Hey.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
See you.